I have replaced the power steering hose in this Suburban. I use my new Unijack to lift the front wheels off the ground so I can bleed the system out of the power steering. Here's the hose that came out of it. Can you see the crack right there? If you have never done any power steering hose repair replacements, do not make this your first vehicle. You do not want to do that. If you do, please have somebody there to help you, because power steering hoses can be really problematic in that they're hard to get to, and they have threads that need to be screwed in, and you can cross strip these threads really easy. So you can see that it don't look like it's that hard, right? Well, let me add something else to it. Most of the time you can't even hardly get to these fittings. You have to work one-handed, and you have to put a wrench on it and maybe get a quarter turn at a time. Let me show you something else. Do any of you know what this is? No, it's not. It's not what you're thinking it is. It's called a finger pot. And anybody in ceramics and crafts would probably know what this is. And I'll show you what I used it for. Thanks to my wife Connie, she came up with the idea because I had something else in mind that I'm not going to even tell you about. Once you've taken your hose off, you have to put your new hose back on. And hopefully you took some pictures, especially around this 1999 Suburban, one of the more difficult power steering hoses I have ever replaced. I've done a few, but this is, anyway, I'm sure there's worse. So, what you encounter is when you go to put your new power steering line in, if you remembered how it came out, because it's got to weasel its way around other lines and stuff and behind things, especially in that, you're going to get dirt in these ends. Full of dirt and grime and everything. There's no way you're going to be able to screw those threads in. Remember I told you can barely get a finger or two fingers on them at the most if you can get your hand up in there, and a quarter of a turn at all. That's another thing. But anyway, let me continue. So you put one of these finger pots over the end, each end of your new hose, and roll it down back over the nut so it stays on good. Hopefully now you've remembered to put your new O-rings on the ends here before you put this on. And hopefully your old O-rings did not get stuck in the holes, which most of the time they don't. You can check your old hose and you can see that, you know, that they have their little O-rings on there and everything. I'm going to lay that out there. It's like, I fought that thing. Did I say this was difficult? This only took me 4 hours. And I've been around a few of these, but this one was new to me, so anything new is going to take you longer. My second one, hopefully not, will go a little bit different. Hopefully not. Have to do one. So, now that we got the dirt situation and everything, let me show you something else. Okay, these are the tools I used to take that hose off with. The socket was used, what is it, 15? Yeah. You know, I know why they color-coded these, by the way. It's because if your wife is helping you, you can say, give me the blue one, give me the green one, give me the pink one, give me the tan one, silver one. Anyway, you get the picture. These are wife-friendly, by the way. Then you don't have to yell at her like I do when she brings you the wrong stuff and you're laying down there wanting it like right now. So anyway, this socket here took off. I don't know if you can zoom in on that. Okay. Those plates right there. One is the skid plate, and the other one, the big one there, is the plastic cover. And I had to take those off so I could get some visual acuity on that Suburban 99. All right, back to these. Only use this for that, no problem. So, on my power steering wheels, this is probably the original, most likely, even though the vehicle has 200 and some odd thousand miles. What I needed, because it's way down in there, the steering box, I needed a long extension, like this one right here, and I needed an 18 millimeter line wrench. It's an 18 millimeter crow's foot line wrench. And let me show you. I put it on an extension that's about that long. I would like to say that that's maybe 18 inches, not sure. And it being a ½ inch, I need an adapter because the crow's foot is 3/8, and I needed a ½ inch leverage wrench. And the reason I got everything so big here is because when you try and put something on like this, even if it was solid, this one's not long enough. Anyway, this twists. This does not twist as much, and you get a better bite on it. Now, some gorilla or somebody was having a bad day. I'm not real sure, but the steering box and that 18 millimeter, thank goodness it was crow's foot and for line wrench, because that thing was on there, and this was the only tool that broke it off easy. It went snap, or it didn't break, but it went crack. Anyway, a little crack comes off. Anyway, which one was it? That guy right over there. That's the one that I use for this on the steering box. This one here came loose with, I believe, this is a crow's foot as well, and it's a 5/8. Okay, that came loose with a 5/8, and this end here was at the back of the power steering pump. Now, most people, when they do these videos on this box, they'll, yeah, that'll happen too. They'll, all the time, they'll use a wrench like this to get back up in there, and a little 1/4 of an inch at a time, 1/4 of an inch at a time. And believe it or not, I did that a little bit too. Okay, so I come up with this idea right here. Crow's foot on top, crow's foot on bottom. I decided to try it, and being a smaller end right there, I was able to use a smaller ratchet wrench. Now, okay, but Steve, what is this other tool for? And the extension that fell over there, believe it or not, I'm not real sure that I used it, but I might have, right in here. When I got my new power steering hose, in my wisdom for that 99 Suburban, I decided not to get Chinese, even though maybe it was made in China. I don't know. But I went to Rock Auto, I believe, and I got a name brand. And I got these fittings here. Both ends were brass. And the reason I got brass is because brass is a softer metal, and I did not want to strip out my power steering pump. I did not want to strip out my power steering box. So by being, these are steel and I believe they're factory, there's a little bit of a finesse, especially when this hose, the new hose goes in, that there's tension on these, and it's so hard to thread these in properly without getting them crooked and stripping them. And I thought for sure, if I was going to strip something, let it be the power steering hose. It's a softer metal, brass is, and for that Suburban right there, I decided to not use the steel like original I believe this is. But I will tell you, did I say don't make this your first one? Because there is so much tension. You have a tendency to bend. You want to bend this end, not that end, this end right here down by the power steering pump. You have a tendency to want to you just have a tendency to want to bend it a little, just a little bit, because it's cattywampus. But if you move your hose around and wiggle it around and push it here and get it over by the fan and put it by the fan shroud and pull it up and pull it over, you will eventually get it where it looks so close that you can reach up in there with 2 fingers, and your fingers may get very sore. But you can reach up in there and you can thread it very carefully a little bit till it gets tight. And that's what's hard about these, because is it going in crossways or is it not? So then I took my little crow's foot and I started to try and move it a little bit with that. Put it on there, because it faces out the other way anyway. Put it on there and turn it a little, and then go back, turn it a little more, and I thought, you know, I can't really feel it that well. I'm not sure that I'm stripping it or not. So then I went up with my right hand up through by the frame or somewhere, I'm not real sure. You'll figure it out if you do it. And I was able to put this on it and go a quarter of a turn, a quarter of a turn. And by having a wrench on it, I could feel the threads a lot better than I could with a socket in that. Once I was sure that I had the threads, reasonably sure, then I thought, oh well, there we go. Then I put my crow's foot on it and I proceeded to tighten that little puppy down as much as I could on that Suburban right there. So, that ain't it. Okay, down in there, I believe you can probably see that, is the fitting that I put in with the crow's foot and took out. That's the bigger brass one. There's how the crow's foot fits over. I think I'm using a wobble extension on the second part of that shaft there. Okay, right up in there, there's the other one. That's a lot of fun. And you can see there's just so much room to get your hand up in there, see, through there. Now you can try going around behind here, and if they made a wrench that was like about, if you could get an 18-inch, excuse me, if you could get an 18-inch open-end wrench, I believe you could get it from there fairly easy, a little at a time. Once you got your hand around that, your fingers around that, and got that threaded in. But I got ingenious, and I'll try and do this one-handed because I know it ain't going to work. I'll knock my light out of the way. I used wobble extensions, and I used 2 of them. But you can see how I got up in there. And I'm doing this one-handed, so I don't even know if I can get it over the nut. But right now, you can see the wobble extension, how it's off at an angle there. And I got up in there, and I was able to tighten it from way back here. So once you know you got your threads going, I suggest trying it this way. It seems to be a little easier. Like I said, it was quick and easy. It only took me 4 hours. But, you know, in the meantime, I was trying to figure out a lot of this stuff too. Maybe you could probably get it done in 1 or less. So that's the story. Okay, so if you got anything out of this video, please like and subscribe. You've seen the tools. I did a little video on that jack. I like that. Like I said, please like and subscribe. This 1999 Chevy Suburban has a new power steering hose. I have to put all those plates back in. I'm gonna flush the coolant out of the radiator. Somebody put the green stuff in, and all it does is make gooky gunk when it mixes with Dexcool. Do not do that. Use Dexcool. So until the next video, this is Steve AZ711. Can they drive? That one's getting close. Bye for now.